Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the last lecture, we talked about the people of Sarandeep sending a couple men to meet Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today, we'll talk about a gift that was sent to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by one of the kings of India. And in the Hindi language or the Sanskrit language, the word Raja is used for the king. So that's why some of you might read the word Raja in some of the books, and some of you might read the word king in some of the books. Anyway, let's get to this story. According to an author by the name of Qadi Rashid bin Zubayr, he wrote a book called Al-Zakhair wa Tuhf, in which he writes that kings of India, including Sarandeep, when we say India, we are including Sri Lanka in that region, and those kings used to send gifts to emperors of Persia or some of the other kings in the region just to have good relationships with them. Just like in these times when you establish trade agreements between two countries, there is an exchange of gifts as well. And even in those times, when they would make trade agreements, or when they want to strengthen the relationship with each other, king of one country would send gifts to the king of another country. And especially if you're talking about an emperor, of course, kings would want to have a good relationship with an emperor because emperors are far more stronger than a king of a smaller kingdom. So he talks about that people, the kings of India, used to send gifts to show to honor the other kings. And it is quite possible that this gift was sent from India to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to establish relationship with this growing Muslim kingdom. Because after coming to Medina, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wrote letters to several different places. And as we talked about it, that Bazan accepted Islam. Bazan, who is the governor of Yemen, and Yemen had very good relationships in terms of trade with the people of India. So, of course, they would have heard about it. And this happened towards the later time in the Medina. So, even in those times, the kings of India would have heard about it when these merchants would go back and forth. Also, Oman, which was also on the coastal line, Bahrain, which was also on the coastal line, all of these different places, when they started accepting Islam, the word went out, and of course, in the business community, word travels very fast because they want to know what is happening. These political changes, these economic changes, these shifts of powers influences business a lot, even in these times. You will see that the business community is extremely careful about who is coming in power, which political party will gain power, and what will be the reforms, how this will affect us. So they always want to be in good relationship with the political movement. That's why even in the international market, when things change, it really affects some of the businesses. So they were thinking the same way. They wanted to have good relationships with people in power just so that they can trade freely without a problem and no troubles are made. So in this regard, a famous muhaddith by the name of Imam Abu Abdullah, Imam Hakim is what he's commonly known as. In his famous work Al-Mustadrak by Imam Hakim, he narrates it from Abi Sa'id Al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu. He says that the Malikul Hind, the king of the Hind, he doesn't mention which king from the Hind because there was not a single king that would rule the Hind. It could be one of the kings of the Hind. He sent a gift towards the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ila Rasulillahi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, jaratan. It was a clay pot. It was a clay pot. Fiha, in it was zanjabil. Zanjabil is an Arabic word which is also used in some of the other languages, borrowed from Arabic, which means a dried ginger. And then it says, فَأَطْعِمْ أَصْحَابَهُ قِطْعَةً قِطْعَةً. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam not only accepted this gift, but also he took small pieces of that dried ginger and distributed it among the companions piece by piece, and the companions ate from it. And Abi Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu says, وَأَطْعَمَنِي مِنْهَا قِطْعَةً. And I also consumed from it one of the pieces. So this hadith is reported by Imam Hakim in Al-Mustadrak. And Imam Hakim reports this from a man by the name of Ali bin Zayd bin Juda'an. And this is the only narration he brings from this particular narrator. Even though Imam Dhahabi has talked about this particular narration, but then that's what the muhaddithin do. But there is a difference of opinion sometimes in the chains of narrations. And always remember, you do not need to have all the hadiths categorized at the degree of sahih, especially when you talk about historical aspects. Especially when you talk about the fada'il. And you would be quite surprised to know that among the muhaddithin, there are 90 some categories of hadith. So it's not like, and also sometimes people hear the word da'if and they right away want to reject it. And you would be surprised to hear that there are 30 to 35 categories of hadith in the da'if umbrella. Subhanallah. I mean, this particular hadith science field is very rich. So sometimes people just jump to conclusions without knowing about things. And Imam Bukhari, not in Sahih al-Bukhari, but in other books that he has put together, he has taken some of the da'if hadith too. So even the person at the status of Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah, he would take da'if hadith also and would use it. It all depends. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal used it. It all depends on the context. So not always look for hadith at the categorization of sahih in every matter. If you're interested, we can talk more about it, but that's for another day. So anyway, this particular gift was received by the Prophet ﷺ while he was in Medina, and it was sent by one of the kings of India. Now, which king sent him this gift? There are different opinions on it. One opinion says that it might have been the king Sarbatik. That's called Raja Sarbatik. That's one name that comes in as one opinion. And he is supposedly king of a region called Qanuj. And then some people are of the view that it might have been a gift from the king of Sarandip from Sri Lanka. When the people of Sri Lanka got interested in getting to know about this, probably king might have taken a step before these people, and with one of the merchants going that way, he might have sent the gift, and through the Yemen the gift might have and kings have a lot more resources than a common man to get things done. Another opinion on this matter is that it probably might have been the king of Bengal, Rahmi, because they used to send a lot of gifts to the emperor of Persia. So it's quite possible that they might have taken this initiative to send it to the Prophet ﷺ. So different opinions have come among the historians. Ibn Qayyim in Zadul Ma'ad brings a very different opinion, which is rejected by a majority of the people, because he brings a narration from Abu Nu'aym, from Abu Nu'aym's book, Kitab al-Tibb al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his book al-Tibb al-Nabwi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And that book, in terms of narration, is not a book of hadith. And al-Mustadrak is a book of hadith. So of course, when it comes to the hadith, al-Mustadrak holds a very high value compared to the book al-Tibb al-Nabwi by Abu Nu'aym. Anyway, in that book, Abu Nu'aym says that this was not Malikul Hind, rather it was Malikul Rum. And that's what Ibn Qayyim in Zad al-Ma'ad brings that narration. But Imam Abdullah, which is Imam Hakim's, of course, narration stands much higher than Abu Nu'aym Isfahani's At-Tibb al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's why a lot of the people, and also logically speaking, Zanjabil has nothing to do with Rome. But Zanjabil in connection to India makes a lot of sense. So that's why it is quite possible it might have been a mistake in writing that the king of Rome was mentioned, or one of the kings of Rome was mentioned, as opposed to one of the kings of India. So inshallah, we will talk a little bit more about Sarbatak because that name has come over here, and there are a lot of stories connected with Sarbatak, and that has come in different books. Like Hafiz ibn Hajar in Al-Isaba talks about him when he talks about Qanuj's king. So inshallah, we'll talk more about that. And also another question that came from you guys to talk about Ratan Hindi, and we'll talk about him as well. But that's in the next episode. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.